best two coordinators we've seen with the Niners over the last decade plus have been Fangio and D'Amico. I would have Saul a third. And this is a downgrade. Period, point blank, end of story, not debatable. Doesn't mean, remember, D'Amico had been on Saleh's staff, so knew the players, knew the schemes, was comfortable with all the guys who had been drafted, even that weren't playing, that were going to play. He knew them all personally and professionally in terms of strengths and weaknesses. This guy's brand new, right? Was on a completely different team. But there's no way around it. It is not as dominant of a defense right now as it has been. And to me, it doesn't feel like they're playing any less fast. Like 57, 29, 54 are still flying around like bat out of hell.
Think they're tackling
well? Probably not as well, but you don't tackle really in NFL practice. To me, it's more you are getting out thought.
Yeah.
They're getting hit with these screens. They're getting hit with these over the middle. Like he knows a couple times a night. It's like they knew when he wanted to blitz and he had the call for it. I thought tonight Kevin O'Connell felt like McVay or Shanahan against a defensive coordinator who has good players, and those guys are just doing what they're told, and they were just out of position. Just like last week. What did they get gashed on? Now, it's different when you're playing Cousins because you got to defend every blade of grass, right? He can throw right, he can throw left, he can throw deep. PJ Walker, it was clear he couldn't. And they were getting gashed on screens and kind of misdirections, taking advantage of the Niners' over-aggression. Well, tonight, after you get hit once, shouldn't you kind of just curtail what you're doing a little bit? Doesn't mean you scrap the blitz, but I'm all for blitzing, just like I'm all for going for it. But there's kind of a time and a place, and it bit them a couple times tonight big. And I'm not even talking about the touchdown at the end of the half. I'm just talking on big third downs. You don't need to be blitzing when you have Willis and Bowman, or you have Greenlaw and Warner. If it's 3rd and 8, more than likely, unless they go outside the numbers, then it's just on your corner. But if they're going to do some sort of dump down or over the middle, you like your chances with those guys. And when he sends them after Kirk Cousins, say this for Cousins, he's clearly been in the league and good enough. Like he's going to get rid of it before they get home.
Yeah.
And he can just kind of slide. Like he's a last of a dying breed, cannot move at all. It's all in the pocket, right? So if the ball's out, it's out within the pocket. Even the final pass? One of the final passes where even Troy's like, I thought he was sacked. I'm like, I did too. And then he made
the 3rd and 3 to Jordan Addison for 16 yards. I thought he disappeared. If they get a stop there, they don't have to use a timeout, and they get the ball back with like 2 minutes and 10 seconds and one of their timeouts. Yeah. I thought he was down.
No timeout in the pros. You don't see it as like, I would say that's a pretty consistent sequence in college. In the pros, maybe you get 1 or 2 of those true, like, down 4 or 5, you need a touchdown, no timeouts left. The clock goes fast. I mean, you don't have much time.
I don't, I think that the thing you said to me is what really stood out is that in those moments where it was like, you're going to see it's not about the game plan so much as about, I'm guessing what you're doing, you're guessing what I'm doing, chess match, Kevin O'Connell.
But it's not guessing. Right.
Well, no, it's not guessing. But I mean, one of us is going to be wrong, or we're both going to be right, and your good play is going to beat my good play. Right? Steve Wilkes might say, wait a second, end of the first half, I brought the house. Mooney Ward was right there. He knocks the ball down on 3rd and 16. You guys are punting.
That play doesn't bother me. That play doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me.
So
your star corner is in position to make a play. It's 3rd and 5s that bother me. That play, I think we have to acknowledge, a little freaky, right?
That play was freaky, and it definitely was not. If Kevin O'Connell knew what was coming, then that's pretty impressive, because I sent you the next gen stats, said that on that play, the Jordan Addison touchdown right before the half, the Niners 7-man pass rush, it's the first time since week 11 of 2020 that a team sent a 7-man pass rush in the last 30 seconds of a half in opponent territory. Hasn't been done in 3 years, almost 2.5 years in the NFL. So if Kevin O'Connell knew that one was coming, you kind of got to tip your cap. But to your point, even though you didn't get the sack, it worked. I think the thing that, tell me this, are Kevin O'Connell, So 2 weeks in a row, kind of similar offensive coaches, right? Next week, Zach Taylor. It'll be interesting. Like, this is a big test next week. We're not jumping ahead to Joe Burrow, but I would say these last two offensive coaches had pretty impressive days against Steve Wilkes. When these were kind of him against the OC going toe to toe. Last week was also Kyle against their DC. That was a big part of it, right? He owns Kyle right now. But
and today was harder, right? Because PJ at any moment could throw you the ball. This guy was pretty dialed, and he's just a good player.
His pick wasn't really his fault.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, the 49ers pass rush didn't really. I mean, how have they kicked his ass? How have they kicked Goff's ass? How are they not getting to the quarterback? Yeah, how's that possible? Listen, he had a couple of big plays against the run, but how is Nick not smoking the quarterback? I watch all the other top pass rushers are constantly crushing the quarterback. I mean, the Bosa holdout
doubled, right?
The Bosa holdout, the transition has not been smooth, right? We have to acknowledge that. It has not been holdout, no problem, 15 sack season. Maybe he has more sacks than I feel. How many sacks does Nick Bosa have right now? If I had to guess, I'd say 2.5.
No more than 2.
I bet you look, it's like 4, but
no, I don't think it is.
He has.
Robbie says feels like Bosa's still holding out.
He has 2.5.
2.5.
Which is just not good enough. Not even
one today.
No.
Against an immobile quarterback. I know he gets the ball out fast, but
it's just not good enough for what you're paying for. Like, you're paying for Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, and they're just not getting that right now. And here's the thing. They've really needed it.
Their teams are paying for TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. You're paying more.
True. Yeah, you're paying more. And you like today would have been, what did we say coming in? Okay, this is a 2-sack game from Nick. 1 in the second half. That's on 3rd and 7. You get the sack. They didn't feel like they were that close.
Drake Jackson.
Is he not vibing with Wilkes? No, Drake Jackson alive? Armstead still on the team?
Yeah. Yep. He is.
Their defensive line is not playing as well as it has.
You know what's crazy too? And this is where this game's a little weird. They did get some huge stops in the game. On the goal line. Held them to field goals on 2 occasions, right?
Well, yeah, Fred's playing like Dick Butkus. I mean, to me, that's just Fred and the D tackles. To me, that was just the linebackers.
Cousins did miss probably 2 touchdown throws, right?
Well, he threw like 99-mile-an-hour fastballs.
The Vikings missed 2, like their receivers, him and one receiver not on the same page. Yeah.
I think if he has the one back in the corner of the end zone where it was more of a lollipop instead of a fastball, he probably hits that most. I bet he's kicking himself.
Yeah. I think
honestly, this could have been 34-17. It felt more 34-17 than 22-17.
O'Connell packed it on a couple 4th downs, just took the field goals, which turned out to be the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, and even Buck said the stats, clearly they got a guy that the chart says in the NFL, go for it. And typically he does.
Yep.
He kicked the field goal. And his guy, I guess his guy missed at the end of the game. He did drain the one.
And missed an extra point.
Yeah.
Which could have
Moody also. I would say Moody's missed field goal came into play big time. It's a lot different being down a touchdown. Now it's hard to play the butterfly effect, right? It doesn't really work like that. A missed field goal in the first game or in the first quarter or the first half does not equate always to like, well, that would have been the score, because then your strategy changes.
Also, if he hits a 55-yarder, you kind of got to take a step. Drills a 55-yarder under pressure, you kind of got to take a step back. Given this, when he nails the kick, his expression looks the same as when he misses. Also weird, I don't want to go glass half full here because everyone's mad tonight, John, but weird to have a game where you're not complaining, rightfully criticizing the defense, when you also watch Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw live up to the hype, both of them. Although Fred Warner did knee drop a guy, no penalty on that.
Greenlaw.
Yeah, Greenlaw. Randy Gregory looked better than both.
Knee drop. I mean, listen, it's football. This isn't softball. You got to live on the edge a little bit.
One-on-one situations with Mooney Ward, you would have liked to have seen him win without trouble. Niners got bailed out a couple times on defensive illegal contact because the ball wasn't out of Cousins' hand yet instead of pass interference.
You mean the one where they ran the double route and he ran right into Ward?
Yeah.
And even Troy was like, "Oh, pretty lucky he ran into him because that would have been pay dirt, as you guys like to say."
Or if the ball was gone, it would have been a 30-yard penalty.
Yeah.
And then on Oliver too, when they had the clip of Kevin O'Connell telling the referee, "Watch 3," and he crossed over Oliver, and that's a bad match. That's an awful matchup for him. But again, that's credit to the OC.